this. I just think it's great because the reason why Joe and I are doing this is because we want to get people together. We want to share stories. We want to hopefully make people laugh, and then also maybe find out if there's ways that we can help and support them in their goals and wishes and dreams. So when I read that, I really appreciate it and thank you. And I encourage anyone that's listening to this, put a comment on our channel, because we do want to take it on and see what we can do with it. So I had an idea for a contest, which was basically, it's called the 43 Up. So it's anybody that's over 43 years of age. You can do any 3 tricks. It's 43 seconds. And then you add a clip from something back in the day. It could be a picture of somebody, or it could be Volker doing that big fly out and grabbing his bike. Like if that was something that was really inspiring to you, you include that. And you're judged on your courageousness, your the originality and the history of the trick that maybe you're doing. And then the final one was the gap of time that you stopped riding. So you said you're 40 now. And how many years ago was it that you stopped riding?
28 maybe.
All right, so that would be a fair amount, you know, as
Yeah.
far as rating. Okay, that's great that he's coming back in the game. And again, it's kind of a fun, like Joe and I do these fun contests. It's not about trying to get the trophy or the big prize money. It's just about putting yourself out there. And maybe we'll even get Aaron to enter if we have that kind of format.
Yeah.
I'll win the 44 and over female category.
Exactly.
50. I joined the 50 club.
Yeah.
Well, I think you still have some tricks in you, Matt. I've seen some of your stuff, some of your flat stuff.
Hit by this car.
Yeah.
I was. I mean, that day, right before I got in the car, I did a no hand 540. You know, I had this whole little session I had, and then I got in the car, and then I don't really remember much since then. But they put me in the hospital for like 3 months or something, I guess. My brain was bleeding, and so I'm kind of like. I'm really lucky that I'm really good with concussions, because this has put me in like the perma concussion mode or whatever, to where I have a concussion for about 6 to 8 months, they said. But yeah, so I don't even know what I was talking about anyway. But yeah.
Well, no,
Well, we're so glad you're here, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, no, I mean, I catch myself complaining like I am right now, but then I just realize how lucky I am that it didn't kill myself and my wife, and we were gonna have our kids in the back seats, and they would have been. I mean, the seats totally broke over and stuff. So really, as I complain, I realistically am very lucky.
Yeah. No, I'm glad to hear you, because you know, I know you've been having a rough time, and you know, I was riding the skate park this morning with some friends, and they were all stoked because they're like, man, you know, you're riding Hoffman Super Forks. And I was like, yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
And
yeah,
you know,
it's funny because it's like, I mean, I'm an active base jumper. I probably jumped 10 times in the month before I got hurt and I got hit, you know. And then I ride bikes, you know, I do all the things that I do. And the thing that almost takes me out is the thing that everybody does, just drives it hard. I'm like, what? I gotta stop doing safe stuff, man. I gotta keep doing dangerous things. The safe stuff is gnarly.
Well, that's like riding the trails and then dying when a stick goes in your spokes, kind of deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt.
Random.
Hey Matt, stick to the 30-foot airs. That's what the safe shit is. Just stick to the 30-foot airs on a 30-foot quarter pipe and Uber. Yeah, Uber in.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, it was like, right before I got in the car, I mean, I hadn't done a flare in a while. I was like, I better just do one, you know. So I did one, and it worked out. And then, you know, I did, you know, pretty, you know, I'm pretty dialed with no hand 540s, but I did one just because they're fun, and that landed fine. And then, I mean, all the thing, I go back to my session before, that should have taken me out. And then the thing that really took me out is just I don't even remember what we were doing, but we're driving someplace.
You know, Matt, you and Normal just don't work well together. Just stay away from Normal.
No, that shit's dangerous, man. You guys are people are crazy that do normal shit.
Hey, Matt, can you talk a little bit about, I mean, Ray and I had this conversation last night, and we were talking about this today's show. And well, Ray, you set it up. I don't want to take your thunder. You talked about how Matt basically created what he needed to create so that he could ride. So talk a little bit about that.
What are you talking about?
Oh my gosh.
Hey, Ray, wait,
Okay.
my thing's not big enough. I didn't even
I don't know. I seriously don't. What are you?
Oh.
This is classic Dave Norrie, by the way, Matt. Like whatever he just said makes no sense. What do you want me to say?
You just said, you just told
so that was cool.
Ray, last night
Yeah.
you said that Matt, we're talking about the format of today's show, and then we had, who's this?
Joe
And,
did the laugh.
and you said Matt was like the superstar of BMX, and there was no contest series, so he created his own. And I'm just trying to make that point.
Okay.
Now you
Okay.
remember. I'm trying to make that point to Andy, because Andy's
okay.
the only paying customer on here. We want to
I
make sure
got
he
it
gets
now.
his 40
I
cents.
apologize. I needed a little
You got
more
a good
info there.
beard there, Ray.
Okay.
Proud of you.
All right, Matt, I got it now. Here's what I was telling Dave. This was my view of what was going on back in like the early 90s. Growing up, going to all these contests and seeing all the riders, and it was like the AFA and Two Hip and all this. The AFA and Two Hip kind of all went away at the same time. And then we were like, okay, it's riding is gone. What's the next thing? We'll get a mountain bike. We'll go out and we'll start drinking beer with our friends. We'll do something else. Like, but Matt was like this, and now this is just my own perspective, if that's the right word to say here. I looked at it as like looking at it as Matt Hoffman. I would say Matt was sitting around going, wait a minute. I love doing what I do. I love riding my bike. And I'm like one of the best dudes out there. I'm like basically the greatest ramp rider in the world. And now I have nobody can see what I do. Like, this is ridiculous. So, you know, he builds some ramps and all this stuff. And he just said, hey, look, I'm going to just create my own world of freestyle again, like they did like back, 10 years before me. I'm going to start making bikes. I'm going to start having contests. And I think Maurice Meyer said it in Joe Kidd on a Stingray. He goes, Matt took the sport when it was dead, laying on the ground, lifeless, and he brought it back and saved freestyle. Like, he really did. Like, he saved it. He totally saved it. And that's, if people could get that, when people look at like, oh, well, I want to start having a contest, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, but it's too hard, or there's not enough interest. Matt got something where even the people that were interested in it weren't interested in it anymore because they felt it was gone. And he took something that was gone and started it up again. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. So, I mean, it's crazy. Matt is quite an individual, aren't you, Matt?
Well, thanks, man. You are too. And, but then I realized it was a lot easier just building a backyard ramp and not communicating with anybody. So then that's what I did after that.
Yeah.
But I've said the same thing about Hoffman bikes. It's just the bikes weren't worth riding at that point. They were just dangerous. So Matt's like, I want to keep riding. There's no more bikes that will last, so I'm going to build them myself. There's no more contests. I'm going to do it myself.
About the super forks too, but the whole reason, the reason why I made my own bike, and especially the super forks, is because all our friends were starting to break forks and break their necks, and it was just like, and what I wanted to do is, I had this vision of like, I was riding a 6-foot ramp, and when in the beginning I could get 6 foot, maybe push 8, and then I made an 8-foot ramp, and I could get 8, maybe push 10, and then I kept seeing it evolve like that as I was riding. And I was like, man, why don't I just build a 20-foot ramp and go 20 something feet above it or whatever. And so then I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. And so, but then I started looking at my bike and I started realizing that it was a death weapon. You know, I was like, I can't ride the bikes because they just don't, it'll kill me or whatever. So that's what inspired me to make Hoffman bikes and make the Super Fork, is just to keep myself alive and progress as I wanted to progress and do big airs or whatever. But yeah, so really it's just all selfish. I just didn't want to die.
Yeah, just someone else has joined the conversation, so I just want to make sure that we welcome as more people join in. So Chris, thank you for taking some time and joining us. You know that you are on mute, so we can't hear you, but maybe Aaron, you can give Chris kind of an update on what we're talking about.
They're discussing inclusivity in BMX.
Cool. How do we get to that to Super Forks?
Super Forks.
This is factOrFreestyle.
Exactly.
It's nice to see you, China.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Like and just that we all just wanted to look down from about 40 to 50 feet up and not think we're going to die.
Yeah, well, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
You did a good job.
and then I just started. Then I got a wingsuit and I just started base jumping and started just skydiving and realized the ground is even further away, and so you can make a lot more mistakes before you hit it.
I just realized something just thinking about Matt for a few minutes here. I am the exact opposite of Matt Hoffman. Like I am, like, and I'm not even saying that to be funny. I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, when freestyle was dead, I was just like, all right, cool, it's gone. And then like Matt, like taking all these risks and wanting to go higher, I'm like, I have no desire to, like, the furthest I'll go is my backyard for like a fire pit tonight. That's like, to me, that's crazy camping, jumping out of a plane or base jumping. Like I'm absolutely the opposite of Matt Hoffman. It's crazy.
Hey Ray, why don't you share with Matt your idea about the watch that you're wearing today?
Oh yeah, I was just saying earlier that so this was that's the watch that Matt was wearing when he did the 900. We've talked about it numerous times. And then this is actually Kevin Martin's watch that he was wearing. This was his Pop's watch back in the day. So I think I'm gonna get the watch because I was gonna give it to you a long time ago, and you said that you were probably gonna lose it. You were doing the Huck Jam, and I brought it out and I said, Matt, I've had this since the day that you landed that 900. And you're like, don't. And you said something very honest. You went, I appreciate it, but I'll probably just lose it at the hotel. If you've had it this long, just keep it. So I said, all right, well, I'll just save it, and then I'll just So Dave and I came up with the idea where we're gonna put it in a safety deposit box because now people want to buy it because they think it's worth a lot of money. So I'm gonna put it in a safety deposit box someday, and I'm gonna give your daughter the key. And then someday, you know, maybe like no, she won't lose it. We'll make her wear it around her neck like they did in Rambo. Does she lose a lot of stuff too? Maybe I don't know.
She's smart. They just inherited my wife's genes or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, she actually she was supposed to be home right now because she's coming home from college, but then she overslept and missed her flight, so she had to get another flight. So yeah, maybe she is a lot like me.
It sounds it. That's something you would do, you know. I remember one time we went somewhere and you bought all this stuff. You're at the King of Prussia Mall. And you bought all this stuff, and we walked out, and somebody went, "Excuse me, sir," and like the people we were with that you were on tour with, they just all turned around and went, "Matt left his wallet there again." I'm like, "How do you know?" He does it every time he buys something. So they knew what was happening before because they're like, he loses his wallet every night when we go somewhere.
Oh, it's fun. I wish I had my wallet on me, but I don't have it on me. So I could show you that I now I just have this clip that I use as a wallet, and so
yeah,
it's like,
I got one of those. Oh wait, I lost it. Oh wait, no. Here, you have one of these things. You got this thing.
No, that's really.
Yes.
Oh, Ray.
Oh, okay.